Dead server racks lean in the dark like tombstones in a precinct no one patrols anymore. Their LEDs long since blinked out, casting zero light on the console that shouldn't still be running. But it is. The transmitter hums with the stubborn arrogance of a heartbeat that has already outlasted its coroner's appointment. The smell is hot metal, old vinyl, and the specific chemistry of a capacitor that is working too hard to stay honest. Outside those walls, 1966, flesh and bone. In here, 2036, signal and consequence.
Black Star Pirate Radio.
Liberdade checks in at 54 degrees and mist. Winds are moving from the southeast at 6 miles per hour.
The signal's strong, and the world as ever is a noisy place, rife with static. Our job is to find the actionable vectors within the confusion.
Indeed. Our first frequency disruption comes from the geopolitical sphere. Thursday briefing. Why EU-Taliban talks have sparked outrage among Afghan women. The EU's decision to engage with the Taliban, amid rising anti-immigration rhetoric, signals a profound shift in how the Union balances security and human rights. It's been called a slap in the face.
A slap that reverberates through the very foundations of autonomy. The concrete facts here are stark. The EU, purportedly a beacon of human rights, is engaging in talks with a regime known for its systematic oppression of women. This decision in Brussels impacts every Afghan woman whose basic human dignity has been stripped away, and it undermines the trust of European citizens who believe in their union's stated values.
The neon tube flickers, the color of a wound that won't close, and the room holds its breath for a second. This is where logic and emotion clash, isn't it? The supposed logic of security or realpolitik versus the emotion of moral outrage. But a resilient architecture integrates both. A viable alternative would be conditional engagement, where any dialogue is explicitly tied to measurable improvements in human rights, paired with robust support for Afghan civil society and women's groups from outside the official channels.
Precisely. The next move, then, is for European citizens to demand transparency and accountability from their representatives, and crucially for global media and NGOs to amplify the voices of Afghan women's rights advocates, turning their outrage into an undeniable structural countersignal. We must practice sharp discernment, separating the toxic residue of cynical compromise from the architectural signal of genuine, principled diplomacy.
Moving closer to home, into the turbulent waters of local politics, we observe another architectural stress point. Victorian Liberal MP Matthew Guy denies accusation he assaulted Moira Deeming, an incident allegedly captured by CCTV. Police are investigating, and sources close to Guy vehemently deny the allegations.
This chronicle dives deep into the inner architecture of power and personal conduct. The concrete facts are an alleged assault, a denial, and a police investigation potentially backed by CCTV. This directly affects Moira Deeming, the alleged victim, and Matthew Guy, the accused. But beyond them, it impacts the public's trust in political figures and the integrity of our civic institutions. The very notion of consent and dignity is on trial here.
When the inner architecture of an individual fails, it sends ripples through the civic. A viable alternative in such situations is for political parties to have unequivocally independent, transparent processes for investigating such claims, rather than relying on internal mechanisms that can be perceived as biased. The focus must be on due process for all, and robust support for those making allegations.
So the next move for the community, for the electorate, is to demand that the investigation proceed without political interference, to insist that truth and justice, not party loyalty or personal reputation, are the primary vectors. This isn't just about one incident. It's about building a civic architecture where every individual's dignity is structurally supported.
And sometimes the most poignant signals come from the most unexpected places. Mystery of Gracie the giraffe deepens as sheriff calls recapture claims a tall story. For almost 2 weeks, residents of a rural Texas county have been looking mostly up for a missing giraffe named Gracie. The sheriff maintains she's still at large, despite claims of her being located.
This is a beautiful, if perplexing, testament to our shared humanity and connection to the wild. The concrete facts are that Gracie, a giraffe, wandered off a private ranch in rural Texas nearly 2 weeks ago and is still missing despite rumors. This affects Gracie, of course, lost and potentially vulnerable. It also affects her owners, facing immense stress, and the entire community, who've rallied in this rather charming yet earnest search.
It speaks to the fundamental human desire for order, for things to be where they belong, and the gentle humor in the tall story of her recapture. A viable alternative to scattered, uncoordinated efforts would be a centralized, professionally managed search operation, leveraging local knowledge with wildlife experts, perhaps even drone technology for thermal imaging, coupled with clear, consistent communication from authorities.
The next move is to turn this confusion into an actionable vector, a coordinated public awareness campaign with accurate information, specific sighting protocols, and a focus on safe capture, not just observation. Let's use this charming myth of Gracie at large to build a stronger community architecture of vigilance and care, proving that even a missing giraffe can remind us of our collective responsibility and the dignity of all life.
We have already run that tape. Here is the close-loop takeaway.
The signal endures.
And we keep building.
Always.
Patching in a caller, the padator. You're on the signal.
Thanks for taking the call. Are we keeping people at the center of all this change?
Copy that, bringing it back to the main thread.
The weave depends on us remembering the human thread.
And it means setting guardrails so progress serves people first.
Black Star Pirate Radio.
Continue the signal at TogeeVision.com. Tune in, Sparks and Stories, Gig Passport.